the meeting to order. There is a quorum, so I expect Amy to be in shortly. First order of business is the approval of the September 17th minutes of the meeting.
I make a motion we adopt those as written.
That's it.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes pass. I do want to have a commentary that I did the minutes, and we should really appreciate what a great job Cindy does.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
It was truly a challenge. So, item number 5, Chip, you want to talk about the flight feeder system?
We haven't, did you go to the ACA meeting?
I did, and I actually went to one this morning, which was on that. They had actually a breakout session on that, and the girl was great. She did a great presentation. I mean, really, it's just about capturing data. What what size plane will have transponders? Will everybody have a?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a transponder that transmits your position, and it's only for certain classification of airspace, like Mobile, you got to have it. New Orleans, you got to have it. Fairhope, you don't. Gulf Shores, you don't. But anyone that's a corporate airplane, they're going to have it. I mean, if you got a plane like Will's, you fly around on the weekends. If he doesn't want to fly in that airspace, he doesn't have to have it. But
Will you buy one?
No.
I did.
Okay. Vince, you'll equip your fleet with them.
Yeah. So that's So if we want to capture data on corporate airplanes, they're all going to have it.
Sure.
The
And all the-
weekend fun flyer that flies.
How about the
around
Navy, and the Navy pilots? I mean, I asked the question, would they do touch and goes? They said they'd capture touch and goes. So the Navy planes would have them then, is that right?
Yes, the Navy has them, and also touch and goes are considered
Two operations, yeah.
I'll take
Well,
off on that.
She get the lady that gave the presentation this morning did an exceptional job.
Was she with?
She was
the
with-
Maritime Company?
No, she was with DBS, the one that we've been getting emails from. And the guy who keeps sending us emails erroneously was actually our helper.
Well, I got an erroneous email
Well,
from Pam, but that was from actually the company that Gulf Shores. It's something
this was the same company that Gulf Shores uses.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
but the person who presented was their national salesperson, as opposed to the person we've been talking to.
Because we're down to, we're still the thing that, what was it, about $3,500. And you still have to pay for reports. They're not all free.
Well, what I got in the hall with her, and she said it was $500 a month. They'd give the thing $500 a month, and then probably a setup fee of $1,000. And the $500 is reoccurring though, so it'd be a $6,000 a year commitment. So, is that what you?
That's not what we heard. We heard, ultimately heard free. I mean, with $3,500 initial down payment.
For the whole set.
For the whole setup, yeah. But not a $500 recurring. I didn't
Well,
hear
on
that.
DB,
I didn't
on,
hear that either.
At least now Gulf Shores had theirs for a while.
Yeah.
They went with this company when they first started.
Yeah.
So it might have been a different deal back.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
They
80
They have two systems, though. We could be confusing the other.
Yeah,
That's
this
true.
is the Maritime that counts the ADSB traffic, where the other one they have is that one that
Click
counts
clicks.
landings by
Yeah.
radio transmissions. I thought that, when I first started looking at this, I thought surely someone's got to have one that's all inclusive. And I haven't looked at the one y'all got, but I think it just shows inbound and outbound traffic.
That's correct.
Which is pretty much.
And no
what you-
reports.
And no reports. It's pretty much, you can monitor that on,
FlightAware,
FlightAware.
hook it up on
Because
screen.
actually FlightAware makes it.
Yeah.
Your guys on the line, they got FlightAware on the TV and the computer, they see who's coming in.
But you'd have to capture the actual flight, so you'd have to count them over.
Well, FlightAware has some history on it, but I don't know what level of detail it goes
That's
into.
one avenue we really haven't, you and I talked about them early and kind of looked at it, and then we started looking at what Gulf Shores had. But FlightAware, I mean, what we want, besides count numbers, we want something that can capture some valuable data that we can use
Yeah.
and Continental
Well,
can use.
I mean, this one would capture, obviously, the flights, the time of the flights, and the type of airplane. So you could build noise contours and things like that out of it. That's, and then.
And FlightAware is free, and you get like 3 airplanes you can track, or 5, and then after that, you start paying.
Okay.
Okay, well, anyway, we'll continue to study it, but she gave a pretty compelling presentation. And I thought probably 20 GA airports in Alabama had it. She gave a map of, I mean, Bay Minette has it, and as does Gulf Shores.
Is that right?
Bay
Do you
Minette.
have her card? Did you get it?
I have yes.
Can you give it to me? I'll
Or,
reach
it's
out to
really,
her.
yeah.
Try and, establish a rapport.
Okay. Sounds like a plan,
'Cause I
okay?
did answer that erroneous email we got that Pam sent. I did answer them, but I never heard from them.
Well, this is,
Same company.
yeah, I mean, it's the same company.
Yeah.
It's the same company. So anyway, we'll continue
That
to,
hadn't crossed my mind. What about ADSB and MOH? Not required?
I did
It's
skip.
class
Class?
B,
Thank-
C, and I think eventually it might be D, but I think it's, if you're in class E, I think it's above 10,000 feet. I mean, there's an all-inclusive.
Right,
But,
above
you know,
10,000.
if you're running below 10,000 feet and you're not going into a controlled field or class B or C airspace.
So the consensus is we'll just continue to study it, but let's try to report and it's something I think we should go forward
If
with.
you give me her information, I'll see if I can get.
I'll
because
take care of
the
that.
Price structuring might be different. Like,
Well, I just wrote down, we ought to call Bay Minette.
yeah.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
Yeah, 'cause it
we've already
seems to
talked about
me,
assigned seats.
You know, Bay Minette, I can't, I mean,
That's strange.
it's strange that they are in Bay Minette.
Okay, I inadvertently skipped number 4. Chip, you want to give a report on the,
So no towns that I'm aware of. Employee status is good, and we have 6 taxiway lights out, 1 directional sign out. All the runway lights are working, all the pappies are working, all the reels are working. We have all the replacement bulbs in inventory, and Kyle's working on getting those done.
sounds like a great plan. Okay.
there was no problem with the runway sweeping during the
No,
night?
David filed a NOTAM, and they got the sweeping done, and
Right.
No problems.
Okay,
We went to the pre-construction meeting the other day, we don't anticipate any no towns.
that's right.
Construction.
That's right. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. The number 6, Don, you want to talk about that?
Sure. Chip and myself and Joe met a couple of Fridays ago with Jay Tefet, represents a company called Grayson Jewels out of New Orleans. And what they do is they enter an airport, if you will, and try to find out where the assets could be. Now, we've got space basically on the eastern side that we all know about. We have other space on the southern side. We have space
On the west
along the
side.
old taxiway. And what he's going to do, he has a rather extensive advertising platform and marketing platform. He goes out and sends out direct mail to literally every pilot and every aircraft owner and anybody that's got connection to aviation, is what he said. And he then will build to order. He's not going to build anything until he has an order in hand. He's going to condo these. He's going to sell them. Could be everything from T hangars to box hangars to 100 by 100. He's going to find out what the interest is. So what this letter of intent is that the board is being asked to sign, and the name of his company is Regency Hangars. His holding company is called, that he works for, is called Grayson Jewels. If anybody does want to look up the Grayson Jewels website, I'd be happy to do that and give him that website name, that website address. But he is looking for a letter of intent that has been voted upon by us to initiate his process. So then any questions, to either Chip or Joe or me, because we were in that meeting.
And his process is, he has a database that has all the licensed pilots in the areas, mechanics, everything, and then he sends out inquiries to, see how much interest there is.
And then if he gets enough interest, we'll do a lease, and he'll write we'll do a $10,000 deposit.
Right.
Josh?
It's a little bit different than what we've done before. It sounds like he
A lot
doesn't
different.
build until he has somebody
That's exactly right.
that
That's
commits.
exactly right, yeah.
So we're going to have to alter timelines.
And the other thing that's different
of
is
that nature.
is after he
Already
builds, he then sells the leasehold improvement to the individual investor.
But he remains on the
He
lease.
he would think that, yeah,
He's the HOA. He'll be the HOA.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a condo association structure.
And so you could,
He'll collect the ground lease, the insurance, any other common area maintenance issues.
And he bills the tenants or the owners.
But he's ultimately, bottom line, responsible for the lease payment.
I believe that's what it's
Right.
got to be, Josh, right?
that's got to be that
That
way.
was gonna be my question.
Because we wouldn't necessarily have a contract with any of the people
Right.
that he builds a hangar for.
Yeah.
So he'd
Now,
have
they
to
would
have
still
the
have to be
insurance,
subject to-
and he'd have to be responsible for the ground lease.
Yes.
Yes.
This would be a significant modification to the
Yeah,
lease
this
that
would be
we
different,
traditionally
yeah.
used for ground leases. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I mean, it's going to require some work to
No,
make
no,
the modifications to the lease that we would use to accommodate something like this, because it's certainly different than the ground leases we've done up to this point.
no fueling facility that I heard. I mean, is that right?
That's
He would buy,
correct.
he would buy from
He's
the,
not interested in selling fuel. This letter of intent commits us to nothing except gives him the green light to start his marketing process.
He is very checkable on Google. I found lots of information on him all over New Orleans media. All of it good.
Jay Taffet or the?
Jay Taffet even wrote a couple of books, one of them entitled The Baby Burrito, which he says is a handbook for expecting daddies, which I could have used.
My baby's 38 today, they're 38, 39, 40. I could have really used that when they were 1, 2, 3.
Well, we'll,
Where else has he built these condo hangar
what
developments?
did you find? I think Montgomery's one of them.
He is in negotiations with the two litigious brothers there, Kershaw's. If he can do business with them, that's significant. He hadn't done anything yet, but he's apparently in negotiations.
He did one in Melbourne. He did
Yeah,
something in Melbourne.
And he also, I've since found out, he's also went to Gulf Shores and he visited with us.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to do both. He's going to, yeah.
He's going to try at least.
So we're not committing a space to him that we're holding or anything.
We're going to talk about
committed to the
holding
concept.
spaces, but we're,
Just
yeah. I mean,
Read
we,
the concept, let
we
him-
showed him what we had, Vince. We drove him around the airport, showed him what was available. I think we made it pretty clear that we had lots, other people interested.
Yeah,
He was interested in the west side, though.
he was.
They
that would-
have access to the old taxi.
That's a good concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was also interested in the space between the taxiway and the retention pond on the eastern side. I understand that there's no utilities out there yet.
There's not any utilities out there, but I mean, I don't know why that couldn't be used. I mean, we haven't planned that to go forward, but we're flexible.
Well, he's all about bringing ideas to
Yes,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of ideas. I mean,
I'll bet he's going to find some demand for
Right.
it too. Yeah.
Amy?
No, I'm just wondering how he's gonna make his money, just off the difference in,
He marks it up pretty good.
yeah.
He walks it.
Well, he'll make money off selling the hangars, but he's gonna charge a monthly HOA fee.
Yeah.
So he's gonna,
When y'all did those hangars that you bought and Jack Edwards individually, y'all signed the lease for the land together?
yeah, we formed an LLC,
Okay.
AK Associates, and then we just leased the land, and then we had 6 partners.
No, almost this concept, but not quite.
Now, but they do, I'm trying to think of the guy's name from Atlanta, that developed 2 rows of T hangars, they're just standard T hangars. And he did that at Gulf Shores, built them and sold them all. And I guess he wanted to get out of it. He's the HOA. I think one of the other guys that's a hangar owner is taking over that part. But he basically sends them all their K-1s at the end of the year and sends them a bill. I don't think they pay a monthly HOA fee, which is what Jay was looking at. And then once a year, he sends them a bill, and that pays whatever they owe on insurance, land lease, and taxes. And it's just one, and then they pay once a year for that. But you own the hangar.
Sounds good to me, except the lease part, we gotta be sure the liability doesn't ever pass to us.
Yeah.
It stops with
Sure,
him.
yeah, and that part shouldn't be a problem. I guess, I'm trying to think of it, obviously with the FAA guidance, we have to be consistent with all of our tenants. But I suppose if he's the lessee, then as a tenant, then he may have the flexibility to charge a higher, HOA dues, if you want to call it that, and pass that on to the people that lease from him. But
Well, if you take his numbers, like 70, whatever that number was that he quoted for a hangar, and divide it by the square foot, he's getting more than we're getting. I mean, well, he's building a hangar too, though, so it's more,
But
yeah, he's building a hangar,
Right.
so.
And we, as the authority, we would still have our 27 cents per foot with escalation clauses with, at the end of the 30 years.
30 years.
The improvements would revert to
Right.
our ownership, so that would still remain the same.
We made him aware of that.
He was clearly aware of that,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
what's-
he's going to sell a condo that's, the deed for which is going to expire in 30 years.
I imagine so.
yes, of course, if I was him, I wouldn't call it a deed. But yeah, I mean, he would have to make clear to his tenants that, I guess, for that 30 years, they would be responsible to him for whatever dues are to be paid. And then at that point in time, all of those improvements would revert to the authority. So it is a consideration that the authority would then, at that time, be responsible for managing all these various different entities that are the members of the HOA.
Well, that,
Wouldn't theirs expire, be part of that 30-year
they
expiration?
just resort back to us unless we're willing to
Negotiate with
extend the
him.
lease or
Correct.
renegotiate a lease or something like
Correct.
that.
This
But
is
yes,
single
it-
tax for 30 years, and you can't sell it and get a new 99.
Right.
Same rules apply,
Mhm.
I would assume.
That's right, yeah, obviously, he would have to, I mean, he would know this, I mean, he's not gonna enter into a lease that exceeds his 30-year term.
And if those don't revert back to us in 30 years, then that would be different than we're trying to do with everyone else. So we would have to keep that consistent.
We could assign, he could assign those leases. I don't know,
He couldn't assign a lease with anyone that goes past his lease expiration
Correct,
date legally.
correct. That's right.
okay. Do I have a motion to approve the LOI? To enter into the letter of intent?
I'll make that motion that we sign the requested resolution to reply to the LOI and work with Mr. Taffet as best we can to get something done.
So,
All those in favor of approving the resolution as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I told Jay to watch it on TV, and he'd know as soon as we did it, so. Anyway, I guess that's one good thing.
Don, where are you from?
Covington, Louisiana?
He's the only one that said Tafet. The rest of us said Taffet.
Yeah, right.
he's on it right.
He's the only one pronouncing it right.
Let's,
Although I wasn't listening.
Laissez le ventre rouler.
Yeah, I was going, is that how you say it?
let's do number 7 first, and then we'll combine the 6 and 8, the two on real estate, okay? 7 is basically an approval of, there's two resolutions there. One of them is for the city council to approve applying for phase 2 of the road grant. And that's on the agenda for the October 8th meeting. That's a City of Fairhope City Council approval. I think that's around $400,000, or it's actually $700,000 because there's two parts to it. The second resolution, and the resolution that we're actually going to approve, is to say that we have the funding, the authority has the funding for the 5% match for that pre-application grant. So the first one is, the first resolution is in there just to show you what, kind of give you the flow. And the second resolution is actually what we're going to approve. Telling the city council and the world that we have the 5% match for this grant if we do get it.
You looking for a motion for that?
I'm looking for a motion, yes, sir.
I make a motion, we approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of approving the motion, saying that the authority has the money for the matching portion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, we're going to combine 7 with this, we're going to combine 8 and 10, which one is we've never really had a formal discussion on the development of the 62 acres on the east side of the new hangar plats. You know where I'm talking about? Amy, it's kind of like, it's south of the holding pond.
Okay.
Yeah.
And look at June coming.
Oh, good. And we don't have any development plans for it, but people have been sniffing around and asking questions about it. And, you know, and it's pretty valuable land too. It's got runway access. It's got some wetlands issues, but it's, you know, it's a nice piece of property contiguous to the runway.
What's the grading? Is it flat?
It's, no, it goes up at a hill. I mean, it's like, it's amazing. I guess they took the fill from building the runway. You really can't get access. In fact, I was thinking that we may volunteer that fill for some of the borrow that we need for the east side. I mean, it's a 12-foot hill. I mean, it goes straight up off the, I guess that's the old borrow from the runway.
It'll be used to fill in that wet spot.
Well, that costs you a little money.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't have I'd like for people to think about whether we want to, open it up for development, or we want to restrict it to aviation development, or do we want to maybe half the parcel and maybe sell some of the wetlands towards 13, and maybe half the parcel that's for, that's closest to the runway. But I think we ought to think seriously about what our future plans are for that.
On the wetlands portion of that, can we buy the mitigation from ourselves on the west side?
That's a good question. I'll see. I'll see. I think,
Offer ourselves a good price. And then make that 100% usable or close to it.
Yeah, and it's not really good wetlands. I mean, it's an ephemeral stream. I mean, I don't think it's a blue line stream. I can get I can take that one step farther and get a true delineation, and I think that's a great point. We could buy our own wetlands credits. Yeah.
None of this is the agriculture lease. They just mow that? Or?
It's just a hill, Amy. You can't tell.
Oh, this is the hill.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, the hill will be probably
It's
closer to the
over the
runway.
runway.
Yeah, closer. It's
Or
closer.
right off 13. Do we just?
Well, off 13, that's nice. I mean, that's a nice piece of property.
Agriculture is mostly on this side of the
Yeah.
toward
Okay,
the bay.
okay.
And on the north and south.
And up here, yeah.
And how we got that, it was kind of like, I mean, when Mr. McGowan sold it, he sold the whole parcel. I mean, we didn't just say, I mean, it was kind of love me like my dog. And, but it does have runway access.
Yeah, well, I would say it will.
It
with the
will,
taxiway.
and knock that big hill down.
Yeah. So a taxiway would be part of that down the road.
So my thinking is we never, we can move, we always keep that runway access. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we never let that go. Or let somebody develop it for true aviation, unless somebody comes in like, that was one of the places that Continental looked at.
That was a better spot.
It was a better
All
spot.
along.
I mean, it's probably the best piece of property we have
Left.
left.
Particularly for the size, too.
For the size, that's the one that would, you could have runway access or taxi access.
But there's a subdivision going into it next door. I mean, we get noticed, we get noticed because we're a contiguous property owner. And we got, there's 5-acre mini farms, $350,000 houses, being right next to it. It's right next to it. And I went to the planning commission and told them there was an airport next to it too, and no one seemed to care, I mean.
Usually kind of reverse of that.
Yeah. There's an airport next to it,
Well, Joe, I'd like to bring up the subject of a committee.
Okay.
A committee to establish, to discover actually the highest and best use, both for the west side, 120-something acres, and the 62 acres that we're discussing right now. And whether we, just a lot of things. I mean, it's just too many things to talk about at this meeting, but that's what the committee would be formed for. So I just throw that out for you for your potential discussion.
I think a committee that would meet off-site and talk about what the development plans, I think would be a great idea.
Okay.
Now, we do have an appraisal for the west side.
Okay?
I mean, we did that, I mean, we have a appraisal that's 15 months old for the west side.
Love to see that. I mean, that'd be part of the committee.
So you have a motion to have a committee, you want to,
Well, I'd call for volunteers first, well, and then I'll call for a motion, yes. If anybody wants to volunteer to be on this committee.
only be three, if not, it becomes it's confusing.
Well, I'd volunteer to be on it myself and anybody else.
Vince ought to be on.
I'll volunteer.
Say again?
So how about Vince, you and me?
That's fine. That's fine. That's three. So then I will make the motion that the committee of myself, Vince Booth, and yourself, Joe, that we establish a committee to discuss the best use of this property, whether it's lease or sale or combination thereof.
Okay. On both the west side?
Both the west
on
side and the east side, correct.
Okay. And can we set a report back in December?
Quite easily, yes. I mean, I would think so.
Not, we just have an open committee, I mean,
Right.
so the committee will report back to the board, kind of a recommendation or their thoughts in December.
Yeah, and I'd like to get a realtor or a developer,
Sure.
some people that do this for a living, to consult with them in our committee.
And I agree, but I'm real disappointed that our realtor's not here.
Can't speak for that. I just can't speak for that.
Yeah.
He's not our realtor.
I know, but he's certainly shown some, yeah.
Yeah, we talked to him about his interest or, our interest. He did want me to tell you that he would offer to sell the property, any property we deem to be sold, if we want to, at 7% commission. So just throwing it out there is what he wanted me to tell you. If we engaged a realtor and we chose him.
Okay.
Well, that's part of the committee, probably. All right,
Then we
so,
can get that less expensive.
What's your experience with, that seems like that commission seemed high to me.
Yeah, it used to be raw land 10%, developed land 7%. Now there's nothing over 5% anywhere. You can get it 3 to 5. And you can also get it so cheap you don't get any representation. So there's a fine line in there.
Need someone that's motivated to
Yes.
sell.
Well, at a minimum, I've been told this by lots of folks, we need a sign out there saying it's for sale.
Yeah, one thing we don't have.
The number's gone, yeah.
well, that's right. Now, I'm really speaking primarily for the west side
Yeah,
now. Now, the east side has really just come into play
Sure.
somewhat recently, but the west side, I really think a sign ought to go out there ASAP.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to come in with an idea or two or three that we haven't thought about, or they just want to buy it, I did ask Josh today what we paid for that property, and Josh responded this afternoon with $30,300 in the year 2007 for the McGowans.
That's
Just
About right. That was
that's
a
about
ballpark.
right, it's ballpark.
Okay.
The better number is what it appraised for, I think it was $28,900 in March of 2018.
So it appraised for less than we bought it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
appraisal snapshot is one
But I mean,
person's
it's
opinion.
it's only $1,000 an acre. I mean, it's not like it's.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I guess the motion is, I'm asking if you would call, can I call for a motion?
Sure.
Well, then I would call that the committee be established with myself, Vince, and you to be on this committee to discuss these 2 parcels of land for sale or lease or whatever we want to talk about.
Don, would you mind altering that motion?
Certainly.
Put a sign.
Put Chip in there also, and then in case I'm not there, or you're not there, he's not there, we'll have 3.
That would be fine, and we'll have no more than 3 meet, but yeah, okay, well, I will amend that to include
Okay.
Chip Groner.
Okay. And can we amend it one more time to say we need a sign too? That
No, we can't do that. Yeah, we will investigate putting out a sign as soon as we, let's do that, honestly, let's put out a sign soon.
We can go put the FISBO out tomorrow.
Well, we can actually, we can put a FISBO
Or, I
sign
mean,
out there.
I was gonna say spend $1,000 to get a sign printed and put out
I
there.
think a nice prominent sign on the corner of 98 and 32 thereabout would be nice, you know, one facing one direction, one facing the other.
I
Yeah,
agree. So that, I will separate the motions, but do the committee, we'll approve that, and then we'll approve the sign.
all right, very good. All right, then back to my original call is that we would have myself, Joe McInerney, Vince Booth, and Chip Groner on this committee. Of course, we would only meet no more than three at a time.
Chip would be an alternate for the.
Chip be an alternate.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor of the motions?
We need a
We need
second.
We need a second.
I'll second.
And I have one point for discussion after the second. Committee meetings are subject to the Open Meeting Act, so if there's a get-together, we should advertise that. Doesn't have to be fancy, but it should be
There's
posted.
only 3 of us?
Even if there's only 3.
Really?
Even formal committees are still subject
Okay.
to that requirement. So, like I said, I mean, it's nothing fancy, posting notice like we do for these meetings.
So 4 could meet with no problem, huh?
Correct. There's still, as long as you post.
Okay,
a
I was trying to
quorum,
avoid
you know,
that.
there's-
So we
there's-
can get at least,
There's not going to be a great way to avoid that.
okay. We've, okay.
Man, you just can't find a good attorney nowadays.
So, and the way
Truth hurts,
the,
but it's always the truth.
the way the post is, just tell Lisa we're gonna do it, and let her put it on the bulletin board?
That's right.
I don't have to do an ad or anything like that?
No.
We can handle that. Okay.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't either. I thought we had.
It was, I'd have to double check, but I think it was 2015 when they amended it to include committees and subcommittees within the scope of the Open Meeting Act.
So even if you had 2,
If it was a committee, then yes.
that's good to know. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank y'all. Now you want to do a second about a sign?
Sure, I make a motion that the board authorizes, I'd be glad to pick this up, this job, to put a sign out there advertising its availability for the west side only.
West side.
But who are they gonna call? What's it gonna say? Call who? And what are they
Call
gonna
Joe.
say? I mean, we gotta be prepared
Well,
with
you're right.
something to tell
Uh,
what they call.
Whose name do we want to put on the sign? I mean, we're not choosing a realtor right now. This is,
Why don't you put you can put.
that'd be fine, we
Okay.
put my name on it.
And don't
Stop,
take
David.
this. The other thing is coordinate with the
Thank
city
you, Laura.
for the sign ordinance. I mean, make sure we don't get the sign taken down by the city
Yeah,
because it's too
I'll make
large
sure
or
we
something like
get the
that.
sign police in on this one.
So you're saying west side only, is that right?
Yes.
So would we put it on 32 on the west side border area that's clear there?
Well, I was thinking primarily on 32 and 98, right? Pretty much in front of that pump station, on the corner, right there, the
Yeah.
traffic light.
I'd maybe put 2, one on 98 and one on 32.
I was thinking
Yeah.
of that too, yeah.
Yeah, sure, I'll put a couple of signs. It'll end up being the better part of $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. We'd spend up to $1,000
Okay.
putting a sign out.
And then we
With
might develop that sign with the outline of
Yes.
land that's available.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that'd be nice, yeah.
A nice schematic and, a call for more information.
Or if you own this property, you could be home now.
Right.
That's the one I always like. All right, so,
So then, if somebody were to call you, then you would say, we have a committee that's looking at, I mean, you don't really have anything to,
I could give them the plat of the land, for instance. I
Okay.
could give them some basic topography and some wetlands information. Do we want to establish a price for the sign, or just call for more information?
I mean, for the land,
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say call for more information.
Okay.
I think, we could take the proposed west side layout, which is really outdated.
Yes.
But it would, red
Something
flags
to
all
show.
over it that it's adjustable.
It's a starting point.
This is not in concrete.
Right.
Here's a suggestion, but we're open.
Right, exactly. I just want to put that property into play.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
we've been
talking
talking
about
about
it
for
isn't going to
for
move
5
any dirt.
years.
yeah, you get some competition from realtors too.
Yeah.
And if we get a Realtor, they can put, I mean, we're not, this doesn't preclude us getting a Realtor.
No, and we could even put in the sign, if you authorize it, agents protected,
Well, that's, yeah, that's,
if that's what you want me to put in there. I mean, I'll run the proof of the sign through everybody first,
okay.
okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Josh,
All
was
right,
it voted on?
we need a second
Need
for
a
the
second.
sign, the sign.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of spending up to $1,000 for a sign or 2 signs for the property on the west side, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. All right, let's see, we'll get back on schedule. Number 9, modification of the notice of availability for the east side hangar. Basically, there are 4 non-negotiables. The rent, 27 cents a square foot, the term of the lease, 30 years, the escalation clause, and the square footage. We've got another one in there that says it's going to have to spend $500,000. We've gotten some pushback about that. I'd like to have the flexibility that just seems to, people don't like being told how much they have to spend. You know, although everybody I've talked to is spending more than $500,000, I just gotten some pushback for that. So I'd like to,
Well, I mean, I just looked at a hangar that was built in Gulf Shores. It's 100 by 100. And the floor and the door in the hangar, it's a nice hangar, it's a well-built hangar, was about 280. So by the time you finish offices and everything, it'd be close to 400. But I mean, if it's all built, within city codes, and then they're going to be spending close to that much anyhow.
And that's 10,000 square feet. Ours could be as small as 6.
so I mean,
It
We're-
sounded good when we put that in.
It
there.
did, it did.
Chip brought that up, I really like that, because I mean,
yeah. Well, you
I
know,
don't care if you build it for $10 in 30 years, if it's built to our
Standards and the city approves it, it's good,
It's
so.
gonna be good value for us.
And I'm not going to advertise this, just when people say, can I build it? I mean,
As long as it's in the minutes of
Okay.
any meeting,
okay.
then I don't think we need to republish it by any means. I just think that
If
there
y'all
needs to be
remember-
some authorization from the board that allows for that particular requirement to be relaxed or removed, however you want to put it.
If y'all remember, we talked in detail about getting bonds, and that's how we'd verify what that dollar, we still need bonds.
No, that was the other thing I forgot. The bonds are not negotiable either. Having
Still
the,
gotta have bond. but-
Yeah, yeah.
But it's really not any of our business how much somebody pays to build something that they're paying for, as long as it's up to code.
yeah, that's the other one. I should have, there are 5 things that were part, that, the other thing, and this is just for discussion, when I talk with developers, the only thing other thing I get pushback for is the escalation clause. It's 12% over 5 years. People won't, cost CPI or whatever. No, right now, no one is, other than Duncan Gillis, has said this is just not a done deal. But I mean, I'm just bringing that up. That's the only other thing that seems to get people kind of, y'all aren't playing fair or whatever.
It sounds worse than it is, I think.
It does.
12.5% every 5 years is about 2%.
2%
per
a year. If-
I don't know that
I
that's.
think that one passed unanimously with me
Yeah.
complaining all the way.
I mean, the CPI thing is hard to calculate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's hard to get a consensus, I think but anyway, so that's, not asking for any change, I'm just saying that that's the one that 2 of the 5 people I've talked to said, I'd like another escalation clause, but we'll
It's that way at Jack Edwards, and it's the complicated version, and it winds up being about 3.5%.
well, yours is, we have to calculate yours, and it's a labor of love. I mean, you and our accountant, we do it every 2 years, and we have a different number, we get a different number, so. Okay, so, that's, so I am gonna, is that should I approve that? Is it a motion?
Yeah, it does. And again, I'm not suggesting we republish or anything like that, but just to the extent that we're modifying that notice of availability, a motion in a second, so
Okay.
that it's in the minutes of the meeting would be helpful.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we modify the notice of availability to take out the $500,000 minimum construction cost. Do I have a second? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, so we've done 10. 11, I've gotten no traction with this, with the Festival of Flight from having a true partner. Now, the Chamber of Commerce would participate, but they're not going to step up and be a true partner. And just kind of how it is, I don't think we have the bandwidth to do it ourselves. So maybe next year this time, when we get some hangars built and we've got some other things to talk about, we can revisit it. But I mean, I asked her to be a full partner, and she's, she thought it was a great idea, and but we just couldn't get it moving forward.
Well, there are other events that might be
Yeah.
possibilities, smaller scale.
Sure.
So,
Having said that, Pam, remember Pam, she's pushed through, we have a chance to either be the terminus of the 2023 Air Raids Classic or the starting point for the 2024. So both of those are in play. We don't have any final, commitments from that, but the ladies who participated before said that was a great venue. They wanted to come back. They're pretty booked, but I mean, I think 2023 that'd be something we could shoot for.
It'd be the ending point again in
I-
23 or the beginning in
24, yeah.
Is that what used to be called the Powder Puff Derby?
Yes.
It is.
Yes. We had 90.
Wallace used to participate with Miss Halstead in that.
We had 98 teams do it 5 years ago. And we had, it was had a big party here on the terminus, and it was a nice event. So we'll get more details, but Pam's working on that, and I'll report back. We'll have that. They'll send us a contract. I mean, we'll be in their planning for the next 3 years. Okay. All right, David, you want to do the Continental report?
So additional landscaping of the entrance along the north hangar. We talked briefly about a fence. What I like to propose is maybe some quartz gravel on that full length, and then a fence right against the wall to cover all the plumbing. It'll help with the entrance.
Well, I think that's,
A picket fence, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, something just off the wall.
Yeah.
a wooden fence.
Yeah.
Wooden, yeah. About 6 feet up.
Yeah,
Maybe
either
4.
shadowed or, that's what I was thinking, like a picket type,
Yeah.
but a shadow,
That'd be nice.
shadow board, where the air stuff can still get through, but it blocks the whole wall. And then put some white quartz,
Right.
while that full length to the ground.
I think that's.
That way we don't have to
Would be an
dig.
improvement.
No,
Call line locators before you dig.
Yeah.
That's where all the fiber optic cable
Yeah.
runs.
Well, I was actually, the facade was gonna be hooked up to the building,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
and
okay.
so,
Okay.
The facade of the fence,
yeah,
it's going to be anchored against the building.
yeah.
So we'd be set back 3 feet from the building, 2 feet from the building?
Yeah, or a foot off of the wall or whatever, it's a minimum amount, that we have air conditioning drains, we'd cover all the old plumbing, any of the old boxes that were ripped out.
Who's going to pay for it? I'm just asking. Now, how much is it going to cost? Who's going to pay for it?
Definite.
It's obvious.
I wasn't going to ask.
I always ask.
You know, my $3,000 pothole,
How about, can we, before can we
yeah, I'll get a price.
get a price? And
We'll see what it
we'll
is.
knock-
see if
we'll knock it
if we
around.
can cover it. or
We need to
can
get
share
city
or
to
whatever.
fix pothole.
Well, it was in their parking lot though, and they fixed it.
Yeah, we did,
What
we did a
about the
little bit
one
more.
across the road?
Well, that was an old drainage area. The pothole was, it's better to have the patch bigger than smaller so it'll last longer. So I took that whole distance where the
So you're,
pavement had sunk in.
you're talking about the road itself, the pothole right there. I agree, because they could just pull, how do you get the water out of there? Would you do the drainage? I mean, water stands there
You taught on the road itself?
on the road itself.
I know, because I was out there all night long. That's where that fire sprinkler main across the street's hooked to the building.
Okay.
Because the fire line runs across the street, and that tied it back in to get the remodel of their building over there. And then the city came and patched it after it was all said and done. That water, there's a way to get that water out of there, but we need the city to address it. I mean, it's their road.
No, I agree, and if I ask Lynn Mazer for something specific, she'll do it.
Well, we need to ask.
Okay. I'll do that.
No matter what he does
It still looks
on
crummy.
fence or gravel or whatever over there, it's gonna start off bad right there.
Okay. So you'll get a price, and I'll ask Lynn to help. She's been good about it. She's patched some things before, and Jack's been good.
And you can
too.
use me for contacts when they want to come out and look or whatever, because I'd like to, that curve
Sure.
also is kind of, I don't know if that's part of the city or not, but, maybe take it.
The curb is the city's, the whole road with the easement's the city's. I think the airport authority could help.
So abandoned aircraft, we've got the one in process. I believe Matt has sent you the letter.
He did, and I was going to bring that up, but we have gotten the release from Continental so that the authority would not be charged for any storage or service charges associated with the aircraft. And with that in hand, again, my recommendation, I think I put this in an email to the board, but my recommendation would be for the authority, if it's inclined to dispose of the aircraft, to file a circuit court lawsuit to declare the aircraft abandoned. And with that court order in hand, the authority could then sell it, dispose of it, whatever we needed to do to get it off the property. But being that it was left by somebody and just abandoned at the airport, we shouldn't do anything with the plane without the cover of a court order to make sure that we have the authority to dispose of it.
That's the bonanza.
Yes, that's correct.
And the academy will take it with the letter
Aviation.
of abandonment or whatever they want it.
What about the other, have y'all run down the owners on those other three? There's a Sundowner and a.
Yeah, well, there's two are paying customers, and there's another one that's been added that I'm working on.
Okay, 'cause
So,
there's one
yeah.
that Tan Beach Sundowner, I looked at it the other day and ran the number on it, and the registration's expired. Some 6-year-old Lima. That's why I just looked at it the other day, and I looked up in number, and someone, I think in Texas, but the registration
Yeah,
expired.
that actually came up.
But if somebody's paying, you can't we really
No,
can't.
this one is another one that came up. It was in addition to the originals.
If they're paying, that's fine, but if they're not paying.
Does that aircraft have any value?
Yeah,
That one's better than a Bonanza. That's the one with the flat tire.
yeah, but
Yeah.
they got a bunch of them with flat tires, but, yeah, it's closest to it's at 10 fixed gear, single engine beat. Cherokee 6 is down by the fence, it was moved, and there's a Sierra, which is a retractable gear that's Sierra, but this is a Sundowner, it's a last one. I think it's like 7-year-old, 6-year-old Lima or something like that. I just looked at it the other day, I was driving by there, and I just pulled up the VIN number, it's expired, but if they've been abandoned, they've gotten some value.
Well, let's get one of them going.
Most of those airplanes are worth a whole lot more in parts than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially that VTEL Bonanza. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, that one is the Beechcraft Sierra. That's a nice airplane. I don't know
Yeah, it
if
is. It's
someone
been sitting there with
abandoned
flat tires, though.
it. Yeah,
How long has it been there?
years, but it came there, and then after, I'm trying to find.
It started off
It
with a
left,
list of
and
4.
then it came
Now
back.
everybody keeps adding one.
It was there, and then I noticed it was in front of Zach McNeil's
Yeah.
hangar one day, and then they pumped air in the tires. It didn't have a prop on it for a while, now it's got a prop on it, now the tires are flat again.
So I had one flown out. One is paying, work on his aircraft. The other one wasn't paying customer. This is a new one, and the VTEL, we're going to get rid of it as soon as we get the paperwork.
How do we, as an airport authority, along with Continental, avoid getting abandoned airplanes? I don't know what we need to do up front.
Unless this one's been there since 2000, the Bonanza's been there since 2011. Unless there's something in the original lease agreement, which there is, but it has to do with maintenance and unpaid bills.
But what about going forward? Is that something Josh could work on with y'all's attorney about how we?
Yeah, I think that would be
solve
something, if it's either probably a lease amendment sent out to all the customers. My thought has always been if there's the aircraft has to have some level of activity. If not, we want the hangar offered to somebody else. Now, of course, defining that gets tough because
That's hard.
this guy may be out of medical for 6 months or something, so it's
It's
hard to
particularly
put down
sitting outside on the
paper.
ramp, more
Right.
so than inside a TA.
So my main thing is if the plane's sitting there and we got the VIN number and I got an owner and registration, we notify them by mail to remove their aircraft, and they've got 30 days or whatever, that would be the optimum. In the case of the Bonanza, I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody. I had the contact, I had the company address, the guy's phone number.
Sure.
Could
I'm just
we-
thinking going forward, Continental shouldn't have to waive their outstanding bills, and the airport authority shouldn't have to go to court and pay those fees to get it done. So let's find something that stops that in the future. We got to deal with what we got now. Going forward.
Well, I've
And I'll
got
be happy-
approval to
Go ahead,
remove
Dick.
the aircraft from our legal. It's just the fact that where the end location is going to be had an additional requirement.
Yeah, I got you.
How many, but you said a couple of those are paying rent.
Yeah, 2 of them. Two paying, 1 flew away, and 1's going to get hauled away. Any additional ones I've got to work on.
Okay.
Keep adding to his
Keep
list.
that in my list.
Okay?
That one was just added last week.
Oh, yeah, the other one that flew away was in Cherokee.
Yeah.
He was in the T hangar.
Just to give you an example, they had a guy who had one in a hangar, or actually wasn't in a hangar jacket, but then he wound up putting it in a friend's hangar, and it was not flyable. And it was definitely not flyable. And then he was living in the hangar for about 3 months, and they were on the verge of running him off, and he flew it out in the middle of the night. But it's still not flyable. So that's what we get into if we don't have some real stringent
Yeah.
guidelines going forward.
Yeah, well, that Cherokee was there, it flew out in the middle of the night. It was gone one day.
Wow.
Was the registration current?
It might have been, but I bet it's 10 years
So
ago.
it's not on the one in Jack Evans.
So that's like a whole nother kettle of fish as far as liability.
Right.
That would be like, and why didn't we do something?
That's-
Yeah.
When it crashes into a house,
Yeah.
like, why didn't you do something? That's great.
Yeah.
Should not come back to any of us, but it's, I mean, it's pilot command, but everybody's going to be named as a lawsuit. I make a motion, we accept Josh's recommendation
I'll
for the
say.
abandoned airplane.
I'll say.
All right, all those in favor of Josh's process for getting the airplane abandoned, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Review of the Continental, the D.
Yeah, we've got a meeting the 24th we'll go over the BMP, the SPCC, the insurance,
Okay.
whatever we want to look at.
So with that,
Environmental engineer.
that'll either put it to bed or I'll figure it out, okay? And I skipped C. You're gonna talk about the audits of the,
Well, it's really David's report, but David has promised me a bunch of these reports. Talked to Garrett Turpak a couple of days ago. He actually is the agent for a bunch of these airplanes. He claims he has not gotten anything. David's going to get him some information on that. I was given this the other day by one of our renters. I'm not going to reveal the name right now, but am I correct that we need $1 million of liability?
I think it's a half.
I have to look at the
$500,000.
lease.
Is it $500,000? Because this is $500,000.
I think it, well, you just sent out the letter.
Yeah.
On the sign the lease, I thought it said $500,000, maybe $1 million, I don't know.
Well, then we ought to, at this very meeting, discuss whether we want $500,000 well, the whole idea is that we are to be named as additional named
What-
insureds.
insured.
So is $500,000 won't buy much coverage anymore. I'm of the
No,
opinion.
but it's, I got to look at it. There's single events, multiple events, the total amount, I think it is $1 million.
Okay.
And it's a 500 per incident per individual, up to $1 million in property liability and stuff.
The
But it should be
aggregate
in the
coverage
lease.
is the
Yeah,
word you're
it's
looking
in-
for, I think, is aggregate, and it should be $1 million. Sublimits could be $500,000,
Yeah.
per event or per person.
Yeah.
But I think we need to have an aggregate of $1 million.
Yeah.
And it won't cost them hardly anything more to get $1 million versus $500,000.
No, but I believe it already is. I'll
Okay.
look at it when I get back.
Sure.
And the letters have been sent out. You should have got, well, Gone Broke got one. Chip, you should have got one.
I already sent, you should
Yeah.
have mine back.
Zach got his. I know he got his. So those were all sent out the first week and a half of October.
Okay.
It's covering a few things. One is it's had the lease in it
Right.
with the existing prices of the hangars and everything, with the the requirement of the insurance and what level of the insurance.
Right.
And the other one was to actually have a recent signed document for my records
Okay.
Because a lot of these leases are going back, they were signed by Kyle, but they were never signed by the other person, or they were signed by the person, but not by Continental. Also, we've had a name change.
Right.
With the Continental Motor Services, was on the letters, they were gonna go out at the beginning of this year, but since we changed to Continental Services and are a division of CMI, the CMI became the correct party, so the leases are being redone.
Did you raise the prices?
What?
Did you raise the
I
prices?
did not raise the prices.
Well, that's,
They were Matatuck at one time. That was up in New York.
Teledyne, Continental, Navito.
Okay. So y'all are,
That's unusual, though. That half million's, that's each occurrence, so that's all you got, is half a million.
I know.
No cumulative there. He's a little higher than most folks on his medical.
I'll look at it, I'll send you the section that has a report to the Don.
I'd be glad to, yeah, thanks.
Should have it in a letter though somewhere.
anything else? Do you have any other items to talk about?
No?
All right. The attorney's report.
All right, subpart A, the update on the preparation of the audit response. Last month, the board authorized the authority to retain Thomas Longino to prepare that response. And Thomas prepared probably 2 or 3 drafts, and we went back and forth a few times with him. But I thought he put together a really good response. And that was delivered to the IRS today. So the IRS should have received that response. It addressed all of the 30-some-odd inquiries that were within the request for information, and now we're on standby to find out if they're going to request anything else. But the response has been submitted.
Yes.
And the IRS does not have to respond.
He put in his letter that he would respond in 10 days.
He said that he would review it within 10 days.
Yeah,
That didn't necessarily say
Yeah,
that he would
that's
respond
right,
within
that's
10
right.
days, but he said he expected, he being the IRS agent in
Agent.
charge, expected to complete his review within 10 days. Now, that did not
Say he would respond.
say with certainty that he would respond within 10 days. So hopefully between now and November, this will be put to bed. But we're just, again, we've prepared our response and submitted it, and now we're just on standby until we get any further word from the IRS.
It was like 10 pages or 8 pages. It was a detailed response.
Yes.
So should we expect something, either an all clear or a more question?
I don't think so. I don't think
We
they'll
can
tell
just
us we
leave
did a good
hanging.
job. I mean, that's my experience, is they don't do anything. Just let us dangle.
No news is good news.
So that's the latest update on that. Update on negotiations with tenants for ground leases. I guess the main one right now is executive aviation. The lease negotiations, I think we have finalized the terms of the lease, which again are almost identical to the existing leases that we have on the west side, because there is a fuel farm reservation involved with executive aviation. Of course, that's subject to future FAA funding and the construction and the infrastructure for the fuel farm. And I think we have agreed on a finalized hangar pad for P11, and we've extended that or enlarged it just a little bit.
Well,
to
significantly, it's almost an acre and a third.
53,000 square feet.
53,000 square feet. It was part of the attachment he sent you.
How far did that north line go? It doesn't show anything about our road.
The north line did not change, did it? I thought it was an east-west line that we moved.
There's the north, I mean, we're making them rent the whole
The
block.
east-west line on the north side.
No.
It's still where it was?
Yes, sir. It would,
No, he's on the 11. So we moved the east line further to the east.
Correct.
correct.
To avoid that
No,
impingement on the.
because he wanted,
Yeah.
he wanted to build 100,
100 by 140, right?
it was 100 by 140, so we made the plat 200 feet across the east. Because you have 30 on each side, so he's now renting, the standard ones were 150 by 250. So he's now renting something that's 200 by 250. It's a big, it's a,
I'll pull up that email.
Sure. And that, they should have had the plat attached to
Yeah,
it.
it has a plat. Yeah, we've had it surveyed.
So how deep was that line, Chip, if it hadn't changed? Give them all those numbers.
That's a depth on there. About there.
This showing 261 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We made him rent the whole plat.
Yeah, 261 by 200 gets you to, that's 52,200, but the,
He's good, forget my question. I didn't look at it right. Okay. It does show the road in there.
And I talked to him last week. He said he was still committed. He thinks he's got a signed lease, but I said, you kind of really don't. Yeah, but he does have the survey. He asked me if he doesn't want to build the hangar at the front of the fence. Do you have any problem with him moving it back from the object-free line instead of where that is? He would move it back 20 feet from that where he starts this hangar.
It sure looked good lined up.
Well, we can make them all line up, but he wants to
He wants to go even further back.
further back, which gives him more room to work on the
He's just got to put more ramp in.
more ramping, more concrete, more expense. He told me a number that took my breath away how much it was going to cost.
It probably looked better on that one, but we need to establish.
Then they're all going to line up. Yeah, I agree.
If he's first got to sign up, the other guy might, so we need to establish that's as far back as you can go.
Okay.
You know, or we're gonna wind up with, somebody's gonna want a real wide one and they're gonna build a parking lot out front, you know, for planes.
I
We gotta
just
be careful about varying for whoever.
but I told him he could move back from the object-free line, but we'd have to, but we don't know what he wants to move. He'll give us some plans. Then we'll say yes or no, but he does want to move back from that.
Let's don't say yes till we see his plan.
Okay.
You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Somebody's gonna say, hey, I'll take it 300 feet wide, and next thing you know, they're gonna wanna build their own ramp out in front of their hangar that's sitting back in the back, because their building's only 20 feet deep.
Oh,
So, and they're gonna say, well, you let so-and-so do it, so you can let me do it.
okay. I see what you're saying.
I hate rules. But
All
I'll
right.
follow them, we're good.
But anyway, he's still engaged, and he told me what it was going to cost. I was amazed how much it was going to cost. So he's going to bring 5 planes and keep our fingers crossed.
Where is he
2.5
operating
times what he
now?
thought it was gonna be.
What?
Where is he operating?
Must be out of Mobile.
I think he's got the old Southern Avionics hangar down there.
Yeah.
Cunningham Foster, Plat 10. Okay, go ahead.
oh, I didn't know if you wanted to ask the board for a motion to approve the lease. And the lease
Let's just
here, or
let's
if we're
just
gonna-
wait till November.
All right.
He signs a new one, and we get. Is that okay?
Certainly, I mean, he's welcome to sign whenever, but the board would need to approve the final verdict. And it is certainly up to the board. I mean, I didn't know if we were going to wait another month or if we were trying to start the lease.
Upset him, let's wait
That's what I-
and let him tell us where he wants to put that building.
Sure.
We'll-
Let him actually give us a plat plan with the building, yeah. I think that's the way to go.
All right.
Okay.
Cunningham Foster, you know more about that than I do.
I mean, Jacob Cunningham still says he's committed, but I have not got anything. I've not got anything.
And I don't know anything about Mr. McNeil, so you probably.
I called him, he didn't call me back for the meeting. Now, having said that, I feel somewhat confident we're going to lease these up. We're not going to reserve any of these things. First come, first serve. Somebody writes us $10,000 check and signs a lease. They get. Is that the board's pleasure?
Good to me.
Okay. I mean, I seem to be, we got a lot of people that are close and those, but I mean, if somebody wants to, we got 2 other calls this week about people wanting to do hangars too. And, they've got to sign a lease is, there, and they got to write a $10,000 check. So then they've reserved their spot. Until that,
We don't
We're
have
not
any
reserved.
first right of refusal. We
That's
just
right.
have where they
That's
would like to be at the current time.
that's exactly, I'd like to accommodate Kayla if I can, but I'm not gonna, but I think we've tried to.
We asked him to move for
Yeah,
some obvious
for reasons, yes.
For both of us, and he agreed. So I think, in my opinion, he's good for 11
I think he is too.
until if he stalls for 3 months, then we might have to say you're not good for 11 and somebody else comes in.
And-
Because it affects.
Everything,
12 becomes
it affects
13
everything. I mean,
becomes 40.
you've got 600 linear feet on that east side,
Right.
and he's taking 200, not 150. It affects everybody.
It's a good thing he's taking more, but we need a commitment.
Yeah. On a positive note, we do have a sign leased for Alan Goldberg on the west side, and he's actively moving forward with that hangar on the west side in front of the public safety. Yeah, so he said he'd have it built before end of February. Okay, Duncan Gillis, we kind of started and stopped a couple of times. I think we're just kind of going to wait. I mean, he wants to build a smaller hangar. That doesn't fit into kind of what we wanted to do, so we're just going to, I kind of basically told him that we would just wait for, that's not going to work right now. He might be a,
Potential for Jake
Yeah.
Yes.
to fit
yeah,
his hangar setup.
I heard something today.
pay attention. And that's,
In your meeting regarding the environmental
yeah,
liability.
and I put that.
I do want to jog back to something I said previously on the committees question as far as notice of meetings. I just had a chance to pull up the Open Meeting Act, and it says that unless otherwise specified by law and as provided herein, any governmental body subject to this chapter, except for an advisory board, advisory commission, advisory committee, task force, or other advisory body created solely to make recommendations on public policy issues and composed of persons who do not receive compensation for their service as members of the board, do not need to post notice of the meeting.
So we gotta give up our salary?
It's either notice or salary. I mean, you gotta decide, you gotta weigh those two things and figure out which one you wanna.
What about the quorum issue?
Now, yes, if there's going to be a quorum, 4 or more, that would require.
Now we're back to no notice, but only 3 of us.
Only 3 at one time.
Right.
And yeah. And I don't think that'll be a problem. I don't think we can get 4. Okay, good, thank you.
All right, that's all I've got.
All right, anything else?
No, that's it.
So, and we've had, Don, we've had a couple of other people who've inquired about them, and I've sent them copies of leases.
Sure.
And we'll see where it goes. Okay, Hank's not here. Review of the 2024 capital improvement plan. We kind of talked about that last time. That's kind of what he submitted, what we talked about last time. Only thing I would have recommended, and I don't think I actually did it, was we probably need a pause between the $3 million. I think the runway's a priority. The actual phase 2 on the east side is important, but I think we need to take a year off between those two, just because there's so much to do, and because of our matching part. So
We're not going to have the potential to get an FBO till we have a fuel farm.
I don't know, fuel farm, we're gonna have to pay for.
Right, but they'll do the road.
Yeah. No, that's what we're good. That pre-application's.
That's in the pre-app.
That's
okay.
in the pre-app, that's $700,000.
You're talking about the rest of the
I'm
round.
talking about, no, the 5-year plan, and don't hold me to this. Next year was the pre-app, was the west side repaving and the road around there to the fuel farm. After that was a runway, $3.5 million, runway improvements. And after that was the phase 2 on the east side. And what I would recommend is that between the runway and phase 2, we don't have to do anything today because we take a breath, we take a breather, take our $150,000 and whatever. okay?
So the next one's gonna be the road to get to the fuel farm and resurface.
And
the
resurface
ramp on-
about $750,000. Yeah.
And then the runway.
The challenge we're gonna face going forward, and this is just between us, is Mobile is gonna do all this stuff, and they're gonna be taking, all the AIP money is gonna be at risk. I mean, they've got these plans of grandeur. I mean, you know, we're in the same congressional district they're in, and so, that's gonna be a challenge.
While we're talking about that, let's talk about that slide gate that we need.
So let's talk about two things. We didn't do this last week when we did that, we approved the budget, but there are a couple of things there are a couple of things we need to do this year with our monies. We spent like $60,000 this year. We need to do the fuel facility, you know, the base of the fuel facility, and we need to do the side gate.
This grant we're getting is gonna tie us into 13. So, we don't have a gate there. So, for, hopefully, don't hold me to this, the other day, they said probably $25,000 to
$20,000, yeah.
somewhere there. We could get a card access slide gate, just like we have on the west side, coming in, so we'd have that entrance over there. So until we get a true FBO on the other side that would have the slide gate there, the tenants that we're talking about signing up could all enter from 13, come in there, be the only ones to have access. You gotta have a card, you gotta be a tenant, you can't get in. But we would have to pay for that out of pocket. But the contractor wants to know pretty quick, because he needs to work in preparation with us. We cannot add it to his contract, but we can do it as a side contract with him.
So, I mean, the level, again, we don't have any signed contracts, but the level of tenant that we're gonna get on the east side expects to have gate access.
And that stops us from having to have anything on 32.
32.
At this point, until we actually have a true FBO over there that's managing the access to the airport like they should be. Then it wouldn't affect y'all, where you don't have folks going in and out, and they're out driving on the airport. It would be the tenants that would have access to that gate, and it won't be a swing gate, so it's
It'll be-
open all day long, be a slide gate.
Just like we have on
Go
the,
in
just
and
like
out.
we've done that.
But we need to investigate that pretty
Yeah.
quick. And Hank said he would help us,
Mhm.
contractor said they would help us. We would have to just buy the stuff and then do a contract to pay them.
We have a, I mean, we have to get that gate fixed every now and then, the guy that, you know, the gate sticks or whatever. So I know the guy that put the gate in. I mean, we paid him some maintenance before he would work with us to get a new gate. He likes to be paid to maintain the gate.
But while they're doing their thing, they
Yeah.
said, well, let's do this if you want to do it now, which makes sense. We go ahead and design it so they can get the concrete for the rollout area going north and all that, that's out of the way of our road.
Did you put a dollar figure in the bill?
Somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 total.
How much do you think it'll cost to change it, to do the pad for that the fuel
It's a
facility?
lot.
Well, how much?
I have no idea.
$50,000?
It'd be more than that, probably.
Could we do it in phases?
Yeah, it'd be kind of silly to. We really need to do one catch pin.
Okay.
We need to get with Hank and sit down and let him give us the drawing of the one he did that had the emergency.
I've seen it
door.
in Atmore, it's great. I mean, it's, yeah,
And he could tell us exactly what that costs.
and he's real proud of it. All right, so that's that. So, but those are, Amy, those are the two things this year that we have some discretionary money for capital. That's what we'll spend our money on.
And then if we have to, can't we pull that out of the reserve we're setting aside
Sure.
for a FBO? Because that's really
General
part of the
aviation terminal,
FBO.
general aviation terminal, yes, sir. And I'd like to, okay, we've talked, yeah. And then the update on the 250,000 Aeronautics Bureau of General Aviation Terminal. We were Dr. Higginson would have given us that money this year, but I had a heart-to-heart with him and told him that we weren't going to do it this year, we were going to wait and do it next year. He said we were the top of the list this year, and we would be the top of the list next year. So, but we need to seriously in June set up another, and really, if we're going to move forward with it, move forward. So that, we're not going to get that money this year, the $250,000, but he did appreciate that we were forthcoming, and so anyway, okay?
So on that gate, why don't we get with Hank and find out what it is? We report back next month.
Okay?
By the way, they were asking about the city. I ran into Eric at the football game, and he said it was done, and he think get it yesterday or today, their permit,
For
for them to proceed. You know, they already had their environmental
Okay.
permit, so they were waiting on the city. And I saw Eric Friday night, he said if he didn't get it yesterday, they'd get it today.
That's good. Said it would be about what? November, 1st of November, or end of November, middle of November, they'd be through. It
In
wasn't-
November at best.
Yeah. It wasn't much, yeah.
Not much to it.
It wasn't.
It's a road.
All right, treasurer's report. Amy, I'm sorry
Okay, all good.
we,
I don't have any update on the adjustments, but we'll go through that when we close out this year, so. we'll do- Got what we need to do there. So this is the final report for the fiscal year that ended September 30th. So I was pretty happy. We came in just slightly above plan on revenues overall, and fuel sales kind of brought up right at the end. So that improved. And then expenses overall were right at 6% underspent. So I told Joe if I could do this at work, I would be a hero. Y'all did good.
I mean, revenues were up we were on budget on revenues and significantly under on expenses.
So we had a little room there in case any of this audit business came in, a bill came in, it didn't, so we have, when that bill comes in, there's a little room really beyond what was budgeted for this year.
Other than the cash balances, you can see those have gone down, and that's because our match was $165,000 of what we've had to pay for the.
For the whole year.
And we still got, so we really hadn't paid 165 because we still got some retainage left to pay. We hadn't paid it all yet. And I have a note too. This is the 1-year anniversary of our relationship with Kathy Camelli. I think that's worked well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it has.
I mean, yeah.
As far as I know, I mean,
No, I
we'll
think
see
it's-
when we get through, if we
Yeah.
get with
If
the
we
city and
audit,
audit
yeah.
or whatever, but for me, it's good where everything just runs.
Well, for me, I mean, we've almost not weaned ourselves from the city, but we're pretty much on, doing everything ourselves now, except for the audit.
So I'll feel better once they've looked at, this year's
When do we pay our bond interest every year? What month?
August.
Pay it every month. We
Okay.
pay $12,000 every month, and then we pay the $200,000 principal in August.
The principal.
Yes, sir.
I said interest.
Yeah, that's the giant spike down there.
Looks good.
I think we're one farmer short of collecting all the,
The land bank.
we're still one farmer short.
What percentage do we net from that, from the crop sale?
Now, we get a $50 an acre fee for the acreage they rent.
And that's none of what we're talking about marketing. So they're not on any of that land.
I'm sorry, what?
They're not on any of the land we're talking about marketing.
No. All that is the, what do you call it, the flight area, the approach area, the approach and, yeah. It's about 64 acres total, 3 farmers.
So you'll see in next year's budget, it won't be nearly this much, because this year we're catching up from years of not collecting our
But you will see those
new ground.
those new ground leases.
That's where Pam went out there and got everybody straightened out.
She got Mr. Foley straight.
All right, that's it for me. That's for some-
Any other
I'd like to go back for a little bit on the sign that we've authorized a while ago. One of the things I'd like to do, include in the packet, it just kind of hit me a moment ago. There's a gentleman I know in town that'll do a drone flight for $200. So I'm pretty sure I can build or have the signs installed plus the drone for $200 for the grand total of $1,000. I just wanted to make sure, I'll work it out with FAA. I don't quite got to make sure that drone doesn't fly in a
Just
fly.
call me. That's all they do, is call me, and I say, well, I know that you're gonna do that. I don't say you can't do it.
Well, I'll visit with David and find out, because we don't want the drone.
I've got some drone footage.
Do you really?
I'll send you my drone footage.
That's what Ben
Ben Montgomery did a whole, we've got really good drone footage.
Oh,
Is
well
it
then-
on the website, or? can we
Well, that's
put it on the
another
website?
issue. We
Was
need,
it on the website?
I don't
Pam-
think so.
I don't know that, we need a webmaster. Right now, we don't have much content, but we need to put that drone footage in there. We need to change the board. That was one of the things Pam did. We just need to think through, we need to find somebody on the advisory board that'll kind of take that on to make those changes to the.
David, what was David Ben Montgomery did that, I think.
We need to, I've kind of just lost that
David
kind
did the drone shot. I
They're
don't
good,
know
they
if
were good.
Yeah.
They were good.
I thought they were kind of doing the web stuff.
Why don't we ask Pam about that?
Well, I will ask Pam about that. I mean,
Well,
she-
but Ben's in our flying club, and
Okay.
Ben hasn't been approached in a long time about doing anything. He's not opposed to do anything, he just doesn't have any direction.
Pam was the one who was.
Pam was who spearheaded the advisory board, and she did a good job with it. We need to, if we don't put those people to work, we're gonna lose them.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
we need to give them notice of every meeting too, to
I
kind
said,
of encourage them to.
I said it,
Do
to
you?
them, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know Ben pretty well, I'll call him. I'll find out.
Like Bill Pennington is he's a resource, and when we do this hangar construction, I want him to do construction inspections with me. He knows.
Bill came to me.
Yeah, he came to-
went
so-
almost all those construction.
And those are, he has a great skill set there. He's built buildings and highways and whatever. But we need somebody who does that in the web area. We need somebody who does that in, drone footage and some other things.
Well, if I'm going to put out a packet of information, I think a drone shot with some red lines delineating the acreage
Yeah.
would be kind of important. Who was Bill Pennington, I'm sorry?
He was on the advisory committee.
Okay.
He's been in construction of large size Birmingham, moved over here. And then he went to almost all of the last phase.
Well, that's the phase, yeah.
2 or 3.
And he'd be a great resource when we start building hangars, because that's really his forward, because he could, not that we have to do construction draws or anything like that, but we do want to make sure it's being done, it's being done.
Bill and I worked together when we reviewed the engineers for renewing. So he brought a lot to the table.
Anything else? Anything else to the board? Any other, you might want to discuss? All right. 5:30 for 5:26. I'll call, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Thank y'all.